They brought him to the regional hospital to get the best medical treatment possible, but without blood. And one of the parents said we'd have left him at home if we wanted him to die. So there are people that think that way, but it's not us. We don't want Josh to die. We're doing everything medically to keep him alive. And that's what anyone would do for any of their loved ones. We're not here to watch him die. We're here to get that boy better. So he can walk out and go back and do the things he loves, including the Kingdom Hall and meetings and field service. Well, one night, it's very hard, but here's what happened. When Josh was in the hospital, he said, Mom, a lot of times when you go to the bathroom or go to get Dad, and doctors come in. And here's what they say, Josh, you need a blood transfusion. Without it, you will die. We want to help you. You know what Josh responded? All alone. And please respect my wishes about blood. He said, I told one doctor who tried to get me to take blood, you may think I'm crazy, but I have all my thinking abilities. I just want to live by Jehovah's law on blood. He knows what is best for us. The best thing for me is to respect the sanctity of life, and if I die, I will live again. Good example of faith in the face of incredible stress and persecution. Amazing young fellow. And when he's resurrected, you'll hear more from him because Jehovah loves that little fellow.
Hi everybody, this is Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. I'm going to be reading an article that I have found, a very valuable article, from the Advocates for Jehovah Witnesses Reform on Blood. Now, Jehovah Witnesses and blood transfusion and blood. Tens of thousands dead in hidden tragedy. Now, this article is by a lady or a man by the name of Lee Elder, and it was posted on August 9, 2017. While the Watchtower has never published either actual statistics or estimates on the impact of their blood policy on Jehovah Witnesses, it is well known in the medical community that the policy has caused or contributed to numerous premature deaths among followers who observe the policy. It has certainly been within the ability of the Watchtower officials to collect data on the numbers of Jehovah Witnesses who have died prematurely because of the blood policy, as they already carefully track the activity of every member. Additionally, Watchtower, HLC and HVC representatives are frequently involved in many of these cases. The likely explanation as to why the numbers have never been released is that such data would create a liability for the Watchtower Society, in much the same way as their database of known and suspected pedophiles has done when it came to light. AJWRB medical advisor Dr. Ozemu Muamoto, MD, and AJWRB science advisor Marvin Shalmler looked at the available medical studies and independently developed extrapolations of the impact of Watchtower's policy in terms of estimated lives lost since the beginning of Watchtower's blood transfusion prohibition and the projection of lives potentially lost annually. We begin with a view of these estimates, then adjust them to bring the numbers to current. In 2001, Dr. Muramoto used a study by Kitchen CS, Are Transfusions Overrated? Surgical Outcome of Jehovah Witnesses. It was published in the February 1993 issue of the American Journal of Medicine on pages 117 to 119. The study was based on 1,404 bloodless surgeries performed on Jehovah Witnesses and showed that 1.4% of these patients died to a lack of blood as either a primary contributing cause of their death. Simply stated, this means that every time a JW had a bloodless surgery, their chance of death was 1.4% greater due to refusing blood. In an abundance of caution, Dr. Muramoto elected to round down this figure to 1%. That was generous of him, wasn't it? To allow for some who may have died anyway. So stated another way, he determined that for every 100 bloodless operations on Jehovah's Witnesses, 1 death could be contributed to blood refusal. At the time, the American Association of Blood Banks reported that approximately 4 million patients received blood transfusions from 12.6 million units of donated blood every year. That meant that 4 million or 15 of every 1,000 Americans had conditions requiring blood each year. There are about 1 million Jehovah's Witnesses in the United States at the time. So approximately 15,000 Jehovah's Witnesses would have had conditions that would normally require a blood transfusion. If their rate of death increased by 1% due to blood refusal, this means that about 150 Jehovah's Witnesses died that year in the United States due to observing Watchtower blood prohibition policies. Since Jehovah's Witnesses are a multinational religious organisation, we have to extend this extrapolation to account for these members in other countries, and we also have to account for the fact that the policy has been in place since 1945. However, since observing the policy was optimal until 1961, we have elected to leave out the intervening years from 1945 to 1961. Like Dr. Muramoto, we want to err on the side of caution, even though it can be reasonably assumed that many deaths occurred during this period due to the very limited availability of bloodless treatment. We have compiled the Watchtower's published data on Jehovah's Witnesses publishers between the years of 1961 to 2016. Over this 56-year period, the average number of publishers per year was 3,957,868. Converting that factor determined by Dr. Muramoto, this would indicate that 33,246 Jehovah's Witnesses died during the 56-year period. On an annual basis, that works out at an average of 594 deaths per year, with 1,220 deaths in 2016 alone. It is our conclusion this represents a conservative estimate, since many of the high-tech treatments and medical equipment currently in use did not exist in earlier years, and to this day does not exist in third world countries where Jehovah's Witnesses have experienced much of their growth. While actual numbers will never be known, it is probable that the actual number of deaths among Jehovah's Witnesses population is higher, perhaps significantly higher. In 2012, Marm and Schilmer, a former Jehovah's Witness official, prepared a second estimate of the impact of Watchtower's blood policy on Jehovah's Witnesses and their children. In this case, he was able to use a more recent study by Valiavu et al. Entitled Clinical Benefits and Cost Effectiveness of Allogenic Red Blood Cell Transfusion in Severe Symptomatic Anemia, published in Vox Sanguinis in 2012. This was a multi-center observational study pairing Jehovah's Witnesses patients, excluding those under the age of 16 and those with advanced cancer, who refused red blood cells products with matched patients who received red blood cell products. Data was collected from 4 public hospitals in New Zealand between 1998 and 2007. During this period, the study found 103 JW patients who suffered severe anemia, and of these, 20.4% died. That's 21 patients. The death rate among the matching group who accepted red blood cells products was just 1.9%. So the net difference in mortality can be directly attributed to the following Watchtower blood policy: 20.4 versus 1.9, or minus 1.9, equals 18.45% death rate. Put another way, this means that if this group of 103 Jehovah's Witnesses had accepted red blood cell products, instead of having 21 deaths, there would have been just 2 deaths. Since the study covered a 10-year period and there were 19 JWs who died unnecessarily, approximately 1.9 deaths per year occurred. Over this 10-year period, the average number of Jehovah's Witness publishers was 12,700. 1.9 deaths per year amounts to 0.015% of the JW population. This is consistent with the factor that Dr. Muramoto arrived at in his 2001 analysis based on a separate study. Both Dr. Muramoto and Marvin Schulman's calculations resulted in the same mortality factor, 0.015% annually. If we apply that consumption to the current population of Jehovah's Witnesses, it is relatively straightforward to arrive at an updated mortality figure. According to the Watchtower Society's published annual report, the average number of publishers during the 2016 year service year was 8,132,358. If we multiply that number by 0.015%, we arrive at 1,220 Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide that died prematurely in 2016 as a result of the Watchtower's blood policy. This is a staggering number by any measure and amounts to more deaths on an annual basis than all the victims of the People's Temple Massacre in Jonestown, Guyana, that claimed 918 lives in November 18, 1970. However, the tragedy of the Jonestown Massacre was a one-time occurrence. The deaths that the Watchtower blood prohibition has been responsible for have been occurring for over 7 decades. The Watchtower's tragic blood policy can be tracked back to its beginnings in 1945. By 1961, Watchtower leaders began to take their policy so seriously that they made failure to observe it an offence worthy of everlasting death. Not content to leave the matter in God's hands, they began to judge and officially disfellowship those refusing to accept their interpretation. The impact on the lives of Jehovah's Witnesses forced to observe this policy has been devastating, both on an individual level and as an organisation. We compiled the Watchtower's annual reports from 1961, the year that taking a blood transfusion became a disfellowshipping offence, up to 2016, During that 56-year period, there were average annual publishers of 3,957,868. If we multiply this figure by 56 years and by the annual death factor of 0.015%, there have been approximately 33,246 deaths caused by Watchtower's policy during that period. It is not an exaggeration to think of this tragedy as an approaching genocide. Let me repeat, it is not an exaggeration to think of this as a tragedy approaching genocide. Conservative estimates. Staggering as these numbers are, it is a conservative estimate of loss of life, as noted above. Dr. Muramoto rounded down the actual increase in mortality from 1.4% to 1%. If we use the 1.4% mortality rate, the actual conclusion reached by Kitchens, this results in casualties that are 40% higher, 1,708 deaths caused by Watchtower's blood policy in 2016. And a total of 46,544 deaths between 1961 and 2016. Marvin Schulman notes that the New Zealand study draws from the records of 4 hospitals in the more densely populated northern and midland regions, which contain 57% of the country's population. New Zealand has more than 80 hospitals in less densely populated regions that account for approximately 43% of the country's population, and they are similarly equipped. If the mortality rate is approximately prorated for 57% of the nation's population, it results in an increase of annual mortality factor to 0.00026, and the extrapolation indicates 2,114 deaths caused by Watchtower's blood policy in 2016, and 57,626 deaths between 1961 and 2016. While actual numbers can never be known, the most likely toll probably falls somewhere between these various estimates. To offer perspective, consider there were 33,739 US service members killed in action in the Korean War, and 40,934 US service members killed in action in the Vietnam War. If we added up all the deaths caused by the terrorist attacks attributed to the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, and ISIL between 2000 and 2013, we arrive at a total of 23,899. These numbers will come as a surprise to many, particularly Jehovah's Witnesses. AJWRB has seen many examples of deaths that have occurred due to the blood ban, and we have documented many of these experiences so that others can understand what has happened and learn from it. The truth, the simple truth, however, is that the Watchtower Society is a very large organisation with more than 8 million members at present. When one of these cases leads to a premature death, it is always tragic. However, it is seldom newsworthy unless a child, adolescent or pregnant JW is involved. As a result, the vast majority of these cases are not covered by the media and remain unknown. This is particularly the case when countries like the United States have health privacy laws that restrict doctors from sharing the medical information of their patients. We typically only learn of cases where AJWRB members personally report experiences, non-Jehovah's Witness family members report to the media, or physicians or hospitals go to court to obtain a court order to treat a minor JW. Much of the shock value of these death estimates is related to the sheer global size of the JW community. Let's illustrate. If the average congregation has about 100 publishers, and the average circuit consists of about 20 congregations, our conservative estimates suggest there is approximately one death in that circuit every 3.3 years as a result of the blood policy. The typical JW would expect to see one premature death in their congregation every 66.6 years. If they meet in a kingdom hall that has 3 congregations and personally know 300 JWs, they might expect to learn of one blood policy related death every 22.2 years. The average JW has been a member for 10 years or less is unlikely to know of a single case. Despite this, the average Jehovah's Witness continues to labour under the false belief that blood is not only something to be avoided for religious reasons, but for medical reasons as well. The reason is straightforward. Watchtower has consistently exaggerated the risks of blood transfusions and stated or implied they are harmful, dangerous and unnecessary. Further, they have denied the impact their policy has had on the Jehovah's Witness community that is required to observe their complex policy. The following quote from the Watchtower's website on May 9, 2017 illustrates this point. Myth. Many witnesses, including children, die each year as a result of refusing blood transfusions. Fact. This statement is totally unfounded. Surgeons regularly perform such complex procedures as heart operations, orthopedic surgery and organ transplants without the use of blood transfusions. Patients, including children who do not receive transfusions, usually fare as well as or better than those who do not accept transfusions. In any case, no one can say for certain that a patient will die because of refusing blood or will live because of accepting it. What evidence does the Watchtower point to in support of this claim? Beyond some studies about bloodless surgery, none that we can find. While it is all well and good that most of elective surgery can be performed without blood transfusion, these procedures are seldom the life or death challenge faced by physicians treating Jehovah's Witnesses. The major issues occur when severe trauma, childbirth complications and chronic diseases of the blood for which no effective substitutes for a blood transfusion exist. Simply stated, the major killer of Jehovah's Witnesses who are observing Watchtower's blood policy is anemia. It is an inescapable fact that when the cells of the blood fail to receive oxygen for more than just a few minutes, cell death begins to occur. Jehovah's Witnesses are very misinformed about this, with most believing that blood and blood products amount to dangerous, even reckless medical treatment. While much can be said about the potential benefits of blood management or blood conservation, removing the safety net of blood transfusions adds significant and unnecessary risk to any elective surgery. Additionally, in some crucial situations like trauma, childbirth and diseases of the blood, there are no effective substitutes for blood. While the Watchtower Society states the policy is biblical, they offer nothing substantiative to support their partial ban on blood beyond vague scriptural references to not eating blood. Members are required to support whatever the current policy is, and JW children are also taught the importance of compliance from a very young age. Even non-JW family members may be compelled into following Watchtower's policy, and indoctrination is so complete, there is often significant levels of compliance among former Jehovah's Witnesses. Additionally, failure to comply will result in extreme shunning by other JW members and lifelong friends who will be prohibited from eating a meal or even speaking to the non-compliant JW who does not follow the policy or even questions it for that matter. This intrusion into the personal lives of members amounts to coercive control or undue influence and makes free and informed consent practically impossible. If a man holds a gun to your head and tells you to do something, what kind of choice do you have? If you do what you are told while the gun is to your head, what role did the gunman play in whatever choice you make? The choice an anemic Jehovah's Witness faces is similar to the choice a child had in Jonestown. Drink the Kool-Aid or be executed. Well-meaning physicians and hospitals often fail to comprehend these complex issues and unwittingly participate in JWs martyring themselves and their adolescent children. Here are some references. You'll see the websites there. And there you go. I just want to go back to the top again. This article was read from the Advocates for Jehovah's Witnesses Reform on Blood. The article is Jehovah's Witnesses and Blood, Tens of Thousands Dead in Hidden Tragedy, written by Lee Elder, August 9, 2017. Thank you for listening, and bye for now. Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watch it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.